One of the things that we've done in terms of Knauf Insulation is try to offer as much support to the house builders as possible in terms of what they can do in terms of their planning. We've done some modelling for some of the developers, so we've taken their existing house type designs, sent them off to one of our partners, and they've been able to model them based on what they're doing now and keeping it as close to what they're doing now, but with the additions and requirements for Part L. I mean, we say that there was an initial worry, wasn't there, in regards to the inertial dwelling, which was 0.18. Everyone thought they're going to have to start moving to 150 more cavities or go for a full solution in terms of like a PIR or an alternative. But what we'd be able to do is actually just dial that back in and say, actually, you can keep your existing footprints, your existing house site designs, because ultimately what you're going to have on some of these sites is a pair of semis or a building that's built to 2013 regs, and then the one next door is going to have to be built to 2021 regs. So to try and keep those designs and footprints as similar as possible, I think what we have to remember as well is this is a transitional arrangement between now and Future Home Standard, and that there is a emphasis on trying to push people down the renewables route, whether it be air source heat pumps, more PV, wastewater heat recovery, all these things can sort of help improve the performance of the house.
So I wonder if that shows, I guess this is the first time really in regulation change that I can remember where the government has signposted the next step beyond the initial change in the Future Homes Standard that's coming. And I wonder if we're seeing people wanting to make one step to what they think the Future Home Standards is going to be, as opposed to two design steps, a Part L and then another one two years down the line.
It would be nice for us to be involved in a much earlier stage, at the design stage, along with the manufacturers as well, working in collaboration with these guys to actually get involved with, because there's got to be that discussion regarding, right, okay, we've done your carbon emissions on the house, we've got your values, right, but you've also got that, how you can get the product to site and who's best to deliver that for them in respect of getting material there and having the stocks of material there that required. So I think we need all to have a much wider engagement at a much earlier stage, working, as I said, with the manufacturers as well.
I completely agree. It's always too late. We'll quite often get someone will come to us where they might have been out of budget on a project, looking to cut back on costs. Then we can give them sort of alternative products, and they go, "Oh, I wish we'd spoken to you sooner," because the cavities might have gone out to a ridiculous amount, and they didn't need to go anywhere near that. Which obviously gives them an opportunity to save on lots of products, not just insulation. Maybe their lintels, the wall ties, the block that they're using, the use of cavity barriers if they don't need them. There's lots of areas where we can help value engineer. The good news is, and you probably found the same thing, is that once you've done a project where you might have gone in a little bit too late, you said, "Oh, I wish we'd spoken to you sooner," they then come back to you for the next one and then ask you for that advice at the design stage at the right time to go, what can we do now to try and sort of reduce costs and help save some money, and whilst also making sure that we sort of meet the requirements of building regulations.
No, that's a really good point, and we see it ourselves as some of our customers that are, just putting us in contact with the architect on the scheme and really from scratch before they even put pen to paper, which is a good direction to travel, I would guess.
It's better than nothing, isn't it? I think if you get to that point where you can go, if we'd have spoken sooner, and we could have done this, and it does go down the route, that's brilliant. That's fantastic. It's all you can ask for, really. I think to try and prevent that on things, I think we need to do better at promoting the good work that we do. I think that's why I think case studies are really important, pushing things out into the market, making sure that peers talk to each other. I think that's why CCF and what you guys do is so good, because you have that range of products and you are speaking to lots of different people. When you do see some good work somewhere, you can also then replicate that with another developer on another site as well.
So Richard, you touched on something I was going to come on to later. I mean, competence is a huge industry sort of buzzword at the moment, driven by the Building Safety Act and all the regulatory changes that are coming through, but actually applied to the whole construction industry. And we hear time and time again about the skills shortage, in the industry. So what can we do as a supply chain to make sure our customers' knowledge is up to date and that the right product is supplied and installed each time?
I think from pointing back to the right product supply is actually understanding what the product capabilities are and what it's tested to and where it can and can't be used, because there's an awful lot of products out there that people just chuck in and offer as an alternative product which actually doesn't have the test criteria that meets what's been used for. You can take for example, there's some products that can be mildly used as a partial and a full field cabin insulation, but then there's other products out there that are almost identically manufactured, but they don't have certification and carry that. Now, from a distribution point of view, we distribute these products out. We need to be competent enough to actually understand those testing criteria that sits behind it, and that's where we come in, because we have the engagement with the subcontractor more than the manufacturer does, to actually make sure they understand the differences between the products they're using.
It's up to us, which is what we do in terms of certification. We've got BBA certification for our products. We have Lambda 9090. We've got Declare, and we have Eurofins as well, to make sure this product is tested robustly. Yeah. And has that third-party accreditation to give people the confidence in what they're getting is doing the job properly, and it's not going to cause any harm to health either. I think all these things need to be sort of considered, but the first stage is what does the customer want? What's their requirements? What attributes of a product they're looking for? Do they want a product that is going to have good in situ performance, or are they just looking for something that's going to hit the U value based on its performance? Do we want a product that's going to? I mean, one of the things we've got coming up as part of this is you say about other above and beyond legislation. Is you've got New Home Ombudsman, New Homes Quality Board. We also have, as part of the Partel requirements and the Brill report, on top of that, so the photographic evidence, is also the homeowner has a right to have a pre-completion survey, which includes thermal imaging.
The average age of a bricklayer these days is, I think, somewhere about 58 years old. But in 7 years' time, we're not getting those youngsters through into the colleges to learn their trade. In 7 or 8 years' time, we're not going to have bricklayers. They're just going to be a dying breed. They'll be jumping from one side to the next because they can get another thing to be an hour down the road. And that will be an inherent problem for the coming future if we don't do something about it as an industry.
So what do you see the problems are in terms of the people that are in our industry, say about 58 years old, old dogs new tricks? Do we still need to train those people to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, definitely to make sure they're up to speed with the current regulations and products that are available. But it's getting this bunch here to take their place when they decide to move on, and maybe that's where the off-site is becoming more and more prevalent in industry. We're seeing much more off-site, and lots of off-site companies springing up and doing their own thing, and it's much more controlled environment. It's built in factory environment, not a bit like the car industry, so everything will be modularisation, and it'll be the same. They won't require those skill sets as much as what they're currently relying on at the moment, traditional building.
But and it's that whole thing about what do we do about those existing people, like say the older people. I mean, we've got documentation, we've got manuals, we've got the guidance in terms of how to install dry therm, for example. We can offer training as well, whether that be in branch or whether it be on site as well. So we can sort of go through the do's and don'ts in terms of dry therm installation, for example, which I think is really important because they need to understand the why things have to be installed in a particular way.
And I agree 100%. It's got to be, but it's also the responsibility of us as a distributor to make sure that we understand that process as well. So it's important for us to be trained at that level also.
I think that's it. I think we've got to address. I mean, ignorance can be used as a really negative word, but I think it is a fact. I think there is a lot of ignorance in the industry in terms of what should be done and what's right. I think some of the practices need to be sort of worked on. And sadly, I feel that possibly that won't happen until we start having problems further down the road. When houses aren't performing, when the stag man is doing his surveys, picking up on things, when they're looking and reviewing the Brill report photos and seeing that the insulation hasn't been installed correctly in the right way, or there's mortar on or mortar squeeze or whatever it might be, that's when it's going to start coming home, and then people are going to start understanding they're going to actually have to have training, probably come to us and approach us all to sort of get that training.
Looking from ways the performance gap can appear, from selling the wrong insulation to installing it in a bad way. What can we do? What's our role in making sure that, as much as possible, buildings do what they say on the tin?
I think it comes down to workmanship. I think it's about making sure people are educated, making sure we address the gap in, you say about the performance gap also on site. I think we need to make sure that wherever we can, we try to promote good practice. A lot of it has to be about the why. I really can't. It's about something we try to do when we do our training. Is it's not just do this. It's the reason why you're doing this is because of the impact it's going to have on the property. But that's the key, I think, for me, especially in terms of the people on site. But choice of the right product as well. Chris is saying it's a lot easier. Dry therm, for example, is a lot easier to fit than other products on the market. It's very easy to see if it's not been installed correctly, because if it's not tight butted, you can see that in the when you're doing your inspection on those photos that they're now taking of those junctions. We can see if the product's been installed correct.
The other thing in terms of the right product is obviously we've there's different options within the dry therm range with our product, 37, 34, 32. For me, the bit and the week that I would be most involved in, and then the distribution customers would be most involved in, is making sure the right product gets to site as well. Because you quite often you'd find that you could have a contractor and they'll just say I need dry therm, and they don't necessarily tell you which one they want, and then when you give them the difference in the price, they would lean toward the cheaper option, not knowing the implications of doing that. So it's just making sure we are giving the right message, and then that message is being passed on to the contractor as well, that it is a big difference.
It's a really good point, actually, because actually they look pretty similar as well, right? So in a warehouse, they look pretty similar. If they're on site, they look pretty similar. They install pretty similar, and I guess everyone just needs to up their diligence all the way through to make sure the right one gets to site, and the guys on site, if a mistake's made, goes, hang on, this isn't the right stuff. We need something different. And I guess it's that bit that probably, hasn't happened in the past, because guys just want to get the stuff in the wall, right?
But what can we do as a team, as a collaborative approach, is actually making sure the specification's right to start with, and then following that specification all the way through. So not changing product just for the sake of changing product because it's 10p cheaper. There is a reason that's been specified to be used there, and this is the reason because it ticked all the boxes.
Well, there's just two very dangerous words that you'd see on a spec, isn't there? Or equivalent.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
and that's the problem. Is that how do we make sure that that on a design stage that what quantifies equivalency?
Equal or approved, isn't it?
But it is. I mean, people go assuming that it's going to be thermal performance, but has someone taken into account maybe the embodied carbon? Has someone taken into account about the certification that product holds? Declare, for example. Well, we have to declare other products on the market might not. Well, does that make it equivalent then? So,
if I went back, probably when I first joined, I think we did some telephone, the mystery shopper type things with a product where we asked for a specific brand of material, and we were offered an alternative which was thermally the same but didn't have the same fire classification, class rating, and obviously so that they would actually like for like in terms of what we wanted. So the issue is that people were just looking at one metric and saying that's equal, and there was other things going on. So it is a valid point. What constitutes equal?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think equivalency is a really dangerous word,
and that goes back to Joel's earlier question regarding the competency of the manufacturers and are they competent enough to actually do the job they're doing? And that's what you need to be. The whole industry needs to understand that.
Yeah, and it's a challenge at every step, right? We often talk about installers, right? But us as distributors play a really central role in that, don't we? We can inadvertently change something that isn't quite equivalent which is why we're pushing out these sort of training programs and competence frameworks to make sure that we don't make those mistakes.
There needs to be some sort of guidance in terms of what you're measuring, which stages you're actually providing data for. Because if you're not, then, like you said, it skews everything. You're only going to put down what makes you look good, aren't you? We need to make sure that we all work together. Again, it's that collaborative thing, isn't it? To make sure that we're all demonstrating that our product performs.
Yeah, and I think EPDs across the board we measured in slightly different ways, and I guess that's the job of us as a distributor, really, to make sure that we're comparing apples with apples when we give the data to our customers.
Yeah, I think hospitals are looking to secure supply chain as well. I think this is really important. I think where they're having to use specific products, one of the things about Partel is that there's an opportunity to optimize these bills as best as possible, having these very specific information. The performance of specific products, as like the particular type of gas boiler or air source heat pump, is what they're basing those calculations on. Because of that, though, they then have to use that product. We were talking about equivalency earlier, which is you get less options to actually swap one product out for another or one piece of technology out for another. So if you've got a particular brand of air source heat pump, can you go and use a different one if the performance of that product is different? So what can they do to then make sure that the supply chain is nailed down with that particular product? And that's something that I think they're looking for at the moment. They're looking for agreements, looking for sort of like, yes, preferred supplier or supply chain agreements to sort of guarantee that they're going to be able to supply their sites without any interruptions to the build programs. I think that's going to be really important going forward, especially where you'll have to use a specific block because that's what you've used to get your U value, or like I say, the boiler or the air source heat pump. I think that's what we need to help them with as well, is to make sure that they have that confidence in the supply chain.
Yeah, that's a big one, is confidence in the supply chain. Supplies actually been specified. Because if you suddenly find that you can't get hold of X product, does your whole site get hold of because you can't readily swap something easily because the performance is different, or as you say, the ground sourcing front doesn't perform quite as well as the one they want to use. So what impact does that have? Does that mean that they have to build the rest of the site using slightly wider cavity, or put a little bit more Knauf Insulation chain? That's a massive thing for us. I think is the consistency of supply.
Yeah, and we that's what they're looking for, is that they don't want to be having to move your cabbage out to 150 mil when you planned the site on 100 mil, 125 mil. Potentially to lose a plot or more on that development. And that can ruin relationships. And I think that's something else that's really, really important going forward, is making sure that we put those relationships in place and also maintain them. And we've got to do that. We've got to make sure that we ensure supply chain. The designers especially sort of see us as the experts as well. So they're coming to us and saying, what do we do here? Rather than making that assumption or assuming that they are the expert. An architect, for example, it would be great to see recently is that architects going, actually, I do need your help as the expert regarding your product. Can you give us some good advice? Can you do the UVA? Can you do the condensation risk analysis, whatever it might be, rain index calculation? And that's great, because that's improving your perception within the industry, and and their understanding that their competence might be less than what it was previously, because it's, again, like I said, it's not just a bit of fluff anymore.
And that's really interesting, isn't it? Because historically you'd see a lot of copy-paste specification that have obviously come from a while back. And Richard, you mentioned for us not being available. We've seen stuff where every product on the building was not suitable for use in that application. And do you think that's an aversion to risk, passing it back to you as a manufacturer, or just that recognition that we need to make sure it's the most up to date?
I think we look at the golden thread, isn't it? We look at that sort of like, whose fault is it? And people are sort of trying to sort of make sure that they're either well informed or they have that are able to sort of evidence that they have inquired about it, seek sought advice from a competent person, whether it be yourselves or the manufacturer, whoever it might be, that they can demonstrate that they've chosen that product based on a decision and sort that advice out.
I mean, what I'm hoping for is that, I've never ever been afraid to go, I don't know, but I'll find out, to come to the manufacturer to get that reassurance from the manufacturer while telling them it's correct. And I do get the feeling that designers are still averse doing that they want to remain in control. It's their project. And I'm hoping we're seeing a slight change in that they are now.
Yeah, I think I would say I have seen a bit of a change in that. It's again, it is construction, so it is glacial, but there is, compared to what it was when I first started in this role, I'm seeing more architects and designers actually coming for advice and picking up the phone for the sake of a 30-second phone call.
Yeah.
And that's something that we promote, is that when I go and see technical teams and at house builds and things like that, I always say to them, I say, look, for the sake of a 30-second call, pick the phone up to me. Is it like, just go, can I do this with this product, Josh? Yes or no? No, but you could use this instead, or whatever it might be, and give them the options, rather than having to take the risk, which was what you're saying about, and putting something in there that might not be suitable. It's getting better, and let's say we keep on the message that we're on, that we're here, we want to help, and we promote ourselves, and we do the good work, and eventually, like I said, word of mouth passes, doesn't it? Those things. And the great thing is, it's a great thing, there's a lot of change in the construction industry. You get different people going to different companies all the time, and then they go, oh, do you know what, on that last project we spoke to CCF, we spoke to Knauf Insulation, and then that sort of like I said, migrates its way through that particular business as well, that they've actually got competent advice at the end of the phone.
It's a trust thing, isn't it? Joel was a lot of cut and paste, but now we hope that it's not so much cut and paste. Let's talk to Knauf, let's talk to CCF, that sort of thing, and that's their company, and that's the new cut and paste, hopefully.
Yeah, I think, and giving people good advice, and also giving them options as well, I think is hugely important. Much to our detriment, you might be saying, oh, they've gone for a dry therm 32. Actually, you don't need a dry therm 32. You could actually use a dry therm 34. And they go, oh, hang on a minute. And it's like, that again, that helps to sort of gain the trust as well. And it's been genuine as well. Is that we should all try to be, not profiteering. We all should be working together, because you want that project, not just a project that they've asked you about, but future ones down the road.
So you mentioned there's a lot of change going on, and I talk to my business about all the change that's going on, and use this sort of buzz phrase, I don't know where I got it from, sort of 30 years of regulatory change in 2 to 3 years' time, about Building Safety Act, about all the changes in Part L and the other stuff that's coming on. I guess our challenge then, as a sort of collaborative supply chain in all of this change, is helping the industry sort of find its way through that